good day. I am Rachel from IPASS Processing, and today we will just have a storytelling time with regard to my personal experience on sitting for the NCLEX. As you know, I wasn't able to pass my NCLEX on my first try. I had the NCLEX at 265 items on my first try at the maximum number, and on my second try, I had it at 75 items. And I want to give you guys some insights as to what happened, and probably I can help you and can give you some tips on how you can be able to successfully pass your NCLEX even just on your first try. So I am a nurse. I am a registered nurse. I graduated nursing 2010. That was, I think, a long time ago already. So after I was able to pass my Philippine nursing licensure examination, I was able to have my work experience in the clinical areas well in the province of Mati, and after some time I worked as an HR, and then I was back in the clinical area again. I work in Southern Philippines Medical Center. That's one of the biggest hospitals here in Davao City. And then I was thinking back then that what if I have to go abroad? So I went abroad. I went to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. I was able to become an ICU nurse. That was really the experience that I want to get, even though I wasn't an ICU nurse here in the Philippines, but I'm just very thankful that I became an ICU nurse there because there's a vacancy for that position there. So I asked our director of nursing if I can have that chance to become an ICU nurse. So that wish was granted. I was able to work in the ICU, and then after some time, like 2 years of being an ICU nurse, unfortunately, I had my L4 and L5 herniation because probably I'm petite, and you know, when we are working in the Middle East, some of us, we cannot deny it that our clients might be big. Probably it's also my fault. Maybe I wasn't following the proper ergonomics. So I had my L4 and L5 herniation, and sometimes it hurts, you know. But although I had that pain, so I requested back then that what if I can be transferred to another department where I don't have to lift that much clients. So it was also granted. So I was transferred to the ER, but then it was still a lot of running from here, going there. Although it was really a fun experience because it was also my first time experience being an ER nurse. So when I was in the ER and my contract is almost finishing, I was thinking that I will not be continuing my contract anymore because my sister, Miss Jean, who is in Texas, was encouraging me that back then that what if you are going to take a chance to sit for the NCLEX and be here in the USA, because it would be better for you to work here and you can advance your career as a nurse if you will be working here. So I followed her advice, so I didn't renew my contract after 3 years of being in Saudi Arabia. Although I really enjoyed a lot of my experiences, and I also treasure a lot of people that I have worked with when I was in Saudi Arabia. So my contract was ended, and then I was back here in the Philippines. During that time, I only had probably for my savings, I was able to save 250,000 pesos for my application. So I was thinking like I really have to invest on this. I have to save some money for this because this is a huge investment that I have to make. And also I was planning to review my NCLEX in Manila, and you know that I am from Davao. So I have to find accommodation. I have to know the things because it will be my first time that I was staying in Manila. And then I enrolled in a certain review center in Manila. And then I was also staying nearby Luneta. So actually in the morning, it was a lot of fun because during the morning when I was preparing for my NCLEX, I usually wake up early in the morning and have my exercise. So that was the most like memorable thing that I have been doing as part of my activity during my preparation for my NCLEX. So when I had my preparation, I also prepared for my HAD examination because during the time I was thinking this will be a long wait for me. So while waiting for my USA application, I will be working in Abu Dhabi. And my dream hospital back then was Cleveland Abu Dhabi Clinic. And I was very excited that I'll be working there. So during that time though, I was focusing on my preparation. So I had the preparation for about 2 months of intensive review program in a certain review center, and then I was relying just with regard to the materials that the review center was able to provide to me, and I didn't do any efforts to study on my own because I was thinking that okay, this will be a sure way that I will pass my NCLEX. But my first examination was HAAD. So back then it was still called HAAD. Now it's already Department of Health. So first, I had my HAAD examination, the same testing center in Pearson V, Manila, and I had it on my first take as well, and I was able to pass it. So the result came after I think 5 days, and after some days of passing my HAAD examination back then, I felt like I was too overconfident with regard to the success that I had temporarily. So I didn't study anymore for my NCLEX, and I was thinking that if I made it on my HAAD examination, definitely I can also pass my NCLEX. So in a way, I underestimated the NCLEX. So I was very busy back then to preparing for the requirements that I need for my Cleveland Clinic Abu Dhabi application, because it was also during the time that I was still applying for a certain recruitment agency in Manila. So I was so busy with the requirements and all those stuffs, and I wasn't focused on my NCLEX anymore. So after like about 2 weeks of my success on my HAAD, so it was also the time that I was scheduled for my NCLEX. And during the time, I was just feeling very calm, very overconfident, because I know where the location is, and in my thoughts, I will be able to make it. There's no problem at all, and I was just very overconfident, I can say. So on my NCLEX examination day, it was the same testing center that I went, in the same Pearson V testing center in Makati. So I already know what are the protocols, what are the rules and regulations that I have to know as a candidate. Everything was just smooth. So during that time, I also have known that there is a cubicle that you can see in there, that there is a headset that you will have, and also you also have your clipboard, somehow a white clipboard, and you have your pen as well, wherein you can write anything that you want to write. So I already had myself seated on my cubicle. I was at, I don't know what number was that. I am quite superstitious with the numbers, but I know that it wasn't number 8. So on that cubicle, I was just answering, and I can remember that it was somehow difficult for me because I didn't stop at number 75. I was feeling that the questions during the time are just easy. I didn't feel that it's a very, very difficult compared as to my second examination. So at 150, I was already thinking why it's like this, why it didn't stop, why I'm still continuing my examination. So in a way, I was frustrated in a bit because although I had my break, but I already felt hyperglycemic because the computer doesn't have any plan of stopping the questions. So I was just answering mindlessly. I wasn't really thinking what I have to answer, what are the best answers and best options that I have really to choose on this certain examination, because I was already hypoglycemic. And I was thinking, I think I can feel that all my co-examinees were already out of the testing room and I'm just the only person that's left there. So it made me feel more anxious knowing that. And you know, when you're there in the testing center, when you're there in your cubicle, you're not allowed to look at your back or anywhere else. You just have to focus on your computer. So it made me more anxious. So I continued my examination up until the very last number, which is the 265. And I can say, guys, that I was really drained. Literally, I was very drained and I felt that I don't have any sugar in my brain anymore. So I was just answering until I was thinking, Lord, I want my examination to just end. I cannot think anymore. My mind is not functioning anymore. So my computer ended at 265, and then my feeling back then was just, I don't know what to feel. I didn't feel confident during the time that I will pass my NCLEX. All I was feeling was I am so hungry. That's the really honest feeling that I had. I was so hungry, guys. So I went out of the testing room. I had my things with me and I went out. So after that, I was recalling the topics and I was saving it on my cell phone. And then I took some time as well to research on what are those topics. And there were really topics that I really didn't know, that I don't have any knowledge of, that I wasn't able to encounter on my preparation. And it was like, oh, where is this topic coming from? There were moments when I really don't know what to answer, what options to choose from, because I never have encountered those topics. So I waited for some days to see my result, and after that I can still remember that I was in my dormitory where I was staying, and I can remember the moment when I purchased my quick result. My heart was beating fast when I was purchasing my result. But then, to my surprise, I didn't pass my NCLEX on my first try. During the time that I have seen my result that it was an FAIL, something sank in on me that it's not about taking the examination again, but it's the thought of, oh gosh, I failed the NCLEX. Where am I going to get my money again? I don't have any money anymore for this second examination. The second thought that I had was, I prepared. What did I lack on my preparation? What did I miss? So I was really very frustrated because that was the first big failure that I had. And it took me some days to cheer up. It took me some days to pick up myself from that depression, I can say, for some time. The good thing though is that after 3 days, I was already able to accept that I didn't make it. So it was like a fast acceptance during that time. So I have to pick myself up in my thoughts, even though I failed. This is the reason that I didn't continue my contract in the Middle East. So I have to keep on pushing. I have to continue my goal because primarily this is what I want. I want to sit for the NCLEX and I want to make it happen. So I did my research, and after some research, I was able to know there are really a lot of things that I haven't known. There are a lot of materials that I haven't encountered. There are a lot of topics that I was able to know, I was able to read on. So I took some time, I really exerted efforts to do my research on what are really the topics that I need to know and what are the materials that I have to use in order for me to successfully pass my NCLEX and to make sure that during this second examination, I will be able to make it. So I did the work that is required for me to put in. So I took the courage again to prepare for my NCLEX. Even though I know that it's very tiring, even though that there's really a lot of efforts and it demands my time, my commitment, and my dedication, but it should not hinder me to continue and keep on pushing to what I really wanted to happen. So on my second preparation, I prepared for 6 long months. Yes, it was 6 long months that I prepared. Because during the time, I cannot afford anymore to just sit for another examination and fail again. I want to make sure that during this time, I will be able to pass and have that 4-letter on my last name after the NCLEX. So my preparation was that I had 6 months preparation. I used the right materials for me. I really prepared holistically. When I say holistically, it's a combination of spiritual, mental, emotional, physical preparation. And that's what I can also share to you guys. If you really badly want this enough, you have to prepare holistically. And not to mention, it takes a lot of money when you are going to invest for this thing. So you have to already prepare yourself. When I say mental preparation, what are those that you need to inculcate in your mind? Like proper mind setting do you have to have? And on my spiritual preparation, of course, I can say that I am quite a devout Catholic. Whatever religion you are, continue in your faith, be strong in your faith, because the time when it's very challenging for us, and sometimes we ask God, why am I experiencing these things? Why am I going to do this? Why do I have to experience all of these struggles? And it is through faith that you will be well-founded, that you will be able to continue in spite of the struggle and the hurdles that you are going to encounter along the way on this NCLEX journey. And your physical preparation, definitely, I could recommend that you have to start your day with your exercise so that you will have your proper blood flow, of course, definitely. And you have your enough oxygenation in your brain. So physical preparation is still part of it. So you have that endurance in you that you can be able to prepare yourself well, because this examination will take a lot of your neurons. You'll be using a lot of your neurons during this examination, and your brain should be well oxygenated. And for your financial preparation as well, you have to consider that you will be spending a lot of your money for this examination, but you don't have to worry about it, because just look at it as your investment. Once you are already there, maybe in Australia or in the USA, because we have the same NCLEX, or in Canada, and it's just one salary that you will be able to get your return of investment. And on your emotional preparation, of course, guys, the support of your family, the support of your very supportive friends can be of help when you are on this very challenging moment of your career journey. So I had all of those holistic preparations with me, but definitely, guys, what I also did is that I really prepared well. Through my research, I was able to know what are the right materials that I really have to use. And one thing and one tip that I can tell you is that I took time to read the NCLEX test plan. Because of my first examination, I wasn't aware about the NCLEX test plan. And during that time, on my second preparation, I took time to read on it, because I know that there are some topics in there that might come out in my NCLEX. Although it's not for like particular topic really, like what will really be asked, but the concept is important for you to know. What are those concepts that you might encounter on your actual NCLEX? So I took time to study on those NCLEX test plan. You can Google that one, NCLEX test plan. That's what we have right now, is the 2019 test plan, and it will be updated by 2023, incorporating the NGN. So after that, I also did the review program from a certain review center. So that was a lot of my preparation. And aside from the review materials that I had, I also did my own efforts really. The preparation that I used the materials that the review center provided us. And apart from that, I also did my own study as to what books I really have to know, what books I really have to use, for me to be very, very confident that I was able to read all those books that I have to know, because I'm too desperate already to pass the NCLEX. So in my thoughts, like, whatever I can have, I'm going to read that so that I will be confident. But it might not be effective for you, but that was the thing that I did, which made me confident as well. But I will not be recommending to you guys all of those books, because in nursing, there's a lot of materials that you can use. Please know what are those materials, what are those right books that you should be using that should be effective, and what are the books that were already recommended by those who were already able to pass it. You cannot afford a lot of your time will be wasted knowing or reading those books that may not be effective. So one tip that I can tell you is that use those books which were recommended by your friends, relatives, or other nurses who were already able to pass their NCLEX. Okay? So I also had my study calendar wherein I put all of those time frame that I have to follow. Like for this specific month, what material should I be using? On the second month, what material should I be using? On my third month, where am I on my study plan? So I make sure that I follow that study plan religiously, because it's very helpful for me to be very organized on my study preparation, and as well as I really have time, like in the morning what I'm going to do, in the afternoon what I'm going to know, and then what are the topics. I wrote all the topics in my calendar, you know, that big calendar. So I have that big calendar, and I have written those topics on that particular date on the certain calendar for me to be guided what are the topics that I should be able to finish And on this month, I should already be able to accomplish these topics. So all of those preparations made me prepared for my NCLEX, and definitely I cling on my faith. This is really huge, guys. I cling on my faith. It just so happened that my accommodation was near the Catholic Church. I went to the Catholic Church every day. I made Mass. I made my rosary because that's where I'm going to get my courage and my motivation, because all else has already failed. So I know that God will provide me this blessing. I know that I deserve to become a USRN, and I know that I deserve that I will pass my NCLEX. And it's just probably my preparation wasn't right on my first examination. So I really cling on to God that He will give it to me. And guys, you always have to put this wholeheartedly in your mind and your heart that whatever you ask for, God will give it to you on your right time. Maybe you have asked something that is not yet the time, or God is telling you yet that it's not yet a yes answer for this time. It might be that God will tell you, probably later I will give that to you. But don't be discouraged, guys. Your perfect time will really come. So let's now move on to my second examination. So on my second examination, it's the same testing center. So before I went inside the testing center, you can see in there, I can still remember vividly that there's a blue pillar in Pearson View, because there were changes already as of this time, but during that time, I can remember that there was a blue pillar there, and I was telling, I don't want to see you anymore. This is the last time that I will see you, Pearson View. I don't want to be back here. I have to make sure that I don't want to see you again. So that was like my promise to myself, that I will never come back here just to sit for the examination. So I went to the testing center again. Inside the testing center, everything went smoothly, and I had my examination. I already have known the guidelines and all of these things, their protocols and all of these things. So I have taken my NCLEX. And then on the first parts, like first 15, I was very confident because I'm getting a lot of SATA. Although I can tell you also that it's not a guarantee that once you have a lot of SATA, it's really a sure way to pass the NCLEX, because there are some SATAs, guys, wherein it might not be really of that difficult level. So there are SATAs which are difficult, there are SATAs which are not. But during the time on my own examination, I feel like okay with this kind of questions that I am getting. So I was just continuing answering my examination, and before I had the 75 questions, probably at 72, I was already praying, Lord, I really want to pass this exam. I want you to make it happen for me. Please, Lord, I have done all the best that I could do. Please give it to me. So every time that I feel like the questions are very difficult and the options are very tricky, I took time to breathe in. I breathe in and breathe out so that I will have some oxygenation on my brain cells. And also I pray that, Lord, I do not know the answer for this. I leave it all to you. And then I move on. So the moment that you're going to sit for your actual examination, know, guys, that once you're going to click the next button, you cannot be able to turn back anymore, because once you click that, it means to say that's already your final question, and the computer will check on their tool as to what is the right question that they have that the computer should be giving you on the next number. So on my 74th question, I paused again. And I was just taking time, and I was really praying that, Lord, I leave this to you. I know, Lord, that I have done my best. And I leave this to you, and you know that I really want to become a USRN. So on my 74th question, I took the time to answer that particular question. And on my 75th question, so 75th number came, and then after number 75, the computer shut off. And I felt like, oh gosh, I think this is for me. But it was really the kind of feeling that I had, that I felt somehow relieved, because I think I did well on my previous questions. So on my 75th question, the computer went black, or it went blue. It changed its color. The monitor changed, and it was telling me that that's already the end of the questions, and I will be asked with other survey questions. I'll be encountering other questions. And so I was also able to answer those survey questions. Just I want to know what will be the survey questions. And guys, sorry, I almost forgot that prior to my 75 questions, I was notified by the computer that I will be taking my break. So during the time that I was notified that I will have my break, I took time, I went out of the testing room. Remember this, you can't go out of the testing center, you can only go out of the testing room. So make sure that you have your food, you have your water with you, you have whatever. Do you want to bring chocolates with you? So it's fine. Just make sure that your food is outside of your bag but inside your locker, because you will be given with your locker inside the Pearson V Testing Center. So I just want to tell you that when I was notified with the break, I took that time for me to have the break. At least I can be able to relax myself. I can be able to breathe, and I can be able to lessen my anxiety deep within me. So after I had my 75 questions and I was already done with the survey questions, I went out, I got my passport, and the staff checked my things, and then I was able to go out after that. So I also went to the church after my examination just to thank God for the opportunity that I was able to take the chance to sit for another NCLEX again, because you know guys, this is just really God's blessing, because I do not have much of my savings back then, but then when you want it and when you ask for it, God provides. So I waited for 3 days for me to be able to see my result, and 3 days came. I was very anxious during the time. And it was like the longest hours that I was very anxious because I waited for my result. And you know that you will feel that if you haven't already taken your NCLEX, you will feel that your heartbeat is beating fast and it's pounding fast. You will have tachycardia. You will have tachycardia because you will not really know what will be the result. And when the time is already there that you know that on this time I will be able to see my result, all the more you will have your tachycardia. I hope you will not have your AF. Just joking. So I was really very anxious during the time because I know it can still either be pass or fail. I am not sure what will be my result. I do not have any guarantee for the result that I will have. So it's already the time to purchase the result. I was very anxious, but I kept myself calm. I was breathing fast, you know, that kind of feeling. And so I took the courage to see the result, and then it was a PASS. Like at that moment, I can remember that it was a very, very, very unexplainable feeling. Like you are in the clouds. Like you can never imagine that joy, that fulfillment, that happiness in you. Like you want to jump, like everything has been accomplished. So I was overjoyed during the time to know that after all the efforts that I have done, all of those struggles, like morning preparation until the afternoon preparation, and until the time that during my preparation, there was like madness, crazy times, wherein I go to the comfort room and I will rationalize things, okay? During my precious time, I will rationalize my things. I will trace the path of things. And like, I don't need to do the Valsalva maneuver because my intracranial pressure will increase, and this will lead to like this, and this will lead to like this. Like, all of those will already be gone. And I was really deeply relieved at that moment because I have seen the final and ultimate goal was already in my naked eyes, that I was already able to pass my NCLEX. I cannot be able to explain that joy, but it's something that I know that you will also feel, and that we are excited for you to experience that divine blessing as well. So that's what we are really praying for you as well. So my story was a failure to success story. I had the 265 questions on my first examination, and I had it at 75 questions on my second examination. What made the difference, guys, was the enough preparation. I didn't rush on my second examination. I had the right mind setting, I have the right preparation, and I had the right attitude. These are the three big things that I want to share with you. Because you know what? NCLEX can be very challenging. But when you have that right mind setting in you, that I know that this is a challenging thing, but even though it's a difficult battle, I know that I can be able to make it. The second thing is you really have to know what are the right materials that you have to use. And when using those right materials, you have to have that right attitude. I know that it can be tiring sometimes. We are just human. We can be tired with all those study times that we will have. But even though it's quite tiring, we have to keep on pushing because this is what we really want. Because if you want something, you have to go for it no matter what happens. You are going to put extra efforts on the things that you will be doing. You will be motivated regardless of what are the circumstances, and you will be committed to continue and pushing regardless what problems that you might encounter along the way. And the last thing is that you really have to have faith. You have to believe in yourself first that I can do it regardless how difficult it might be. You have to trust your plans to God because after all, He is the one who's going to give that big yes to you. That child, this is what you asked for. I'm going to give it to you wholeheartedly because I know that you deserve this and I know that this is the perfect time for you to receive this blessing. And everything, guys, is a blessing from God. So we have to ask it. Everything that we will be doing should be like an act to glorify His name. And my success is not of my own only. This is like a ministry for me to encourage you that if I was able to make it, you can also do it. Because there's nothing that is impossible. There's nothing that many nurses have accomplished that you cannot be able to accomplish. Only if you will put the necessary effort that you have to put in. You have to dedicate your time and you have to make time. Not just find time, but you have to make time and you have to be religious on what you are doing with regard to your studies. And of course, definitely, ultimately, this is a ministry for me as well to spread to you that God exists, because if without Him, we can never do anything, I tell you. So my testimony is a blessing from the Lord. I want it to be shared to others. And that's the reason why we are very passionate with what we are doing. Because this is a blessing from the Lord. And we want to share that good news to everybody. That with Him, everything can be possible. And with your efforts, anything can be done. You can make it happen. I know that you can. Because there's nothing that is impossible. Our mind will be the limits of what we can achieve. So please continue. Keep on pushing, keep on going, keep on moving forward, and keep that faith that after all, at the end of this journey, you can be able to make it. So guys, that's the end of my story, and I hope that you were inspired by whatever that I have shared to you. Please take note that this is a very challenging moment of your life, and I want you to be prepared. I don't want you to go to the Pearson VU just for the sake of going, but you have to go because you are confident that during the time, you will be able to take home that victory that you deserve. So, have a great day everyone. I hope that you learned a lot. Until the next video, I am very happy to share with you my story, and I look forward to knowing your story as well. Thank you and have a great day. Bye!